I wasn't really sure what was going to happen because, I was like in second or first grade, so I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that he was super sick and he could die from it. So I was just scared, but I also wasn't sure if I was like dreaming or something. We usually don't really get along, but I wasn't really sure what it would be like without him, like being the youngest in the family. Every Wednesday I'd get picked up at school in third grade at lunch, and we'd go and drive down and we'd watch, like, me and Jackson would watch movies on my dad's iPad on the way to the Cooks, and then we'd go in there and we'd see him, and then sometimes we'd have to wait. So they had like a game room where we could play in, and we'd just wait for a while. I'd be there whenever he was like getting his blood test, like they'd poke his finger, and I'd kind of hear, but I was pretty little, so I didn't really understand most of it. He probably had to go back like every other week and stay for like a couple of days. So we kept that apartment for a while. It was hard at first, so I'd kind of get used to going down there, and then he started to be able to stay at home longer. I remember like always going up there, and then I remember whenever he came back and they'd like throw confetti, and then going home and realizing like I'd be able to stay there without him having to go back up there, and without knowing that my brother's sick. But the first time they came back, like we were sitting in the living room, and both of my grandparents were there, and my dad walked in, and he said, "Hey," because he went up to visit them in the hospital. It was just him, so he came back, and we were sitting in the living room, and he says like, "Hey, I brought a surprise for y'all," and I thought it was a new iPad. But my brother was like, "Hey, it's Mom and Jude," so they walked in. Probably the thing that I was the biggest emotion going through, it was being scared. And I was probably mostly scared about like losing my little brother, but probably the happiest one was like knowing that my mom would stay at our house, and that Jude would be at our house, like, and not have to go up there again. Jude's safe, and my mom had like heart stuff. We're glad that that's pretty much over, and we're glad that like if any of us have gotten injuries, they're not too bad. So we're very thankful for many things. I'm glad I got to see him and he got to come home. He wasn't like in the hospital for 3.5 years. I'm glad I got to see him, and he started going to school more, and I was happy I got to see him there. But I'm glad I got to see him and my mom more after he was getting a lot better. It can happen to anybody. Anybody can just out of the blue get sick, and you don't really know what's going to happen. But I'm glad like God helped us like through the whole journey.